rumours, of course, are the key part of the reason why people are concerned about this board and concerned about the direction that Barcelona are taking. But it's worth pointing out very quickly that the most significant thing about those photographs is that those photos of the players embracing Neymar came literally about an hour after Barcelona had announced that they're going to try and sue Neymar. So you know, you immediately have this show of strength from the players on Neymar's side, in the context, as you say, of Barcelona failing and repeatedly failing to get the players that they're trying to sign to replace him.
Let's go through these players, shall we, step by step. Coutinho, apparently Klopp saying now he's got an illness. Of course, it was a back injury last week. Reports, some media saying they've given up. Others are saying they're going to continue to pursue him. What do you think? September 1st, is he at Barca?
No, I don't think so. I think Liverpool have fought this so hard. I think the way that Liverpool have stood firm on this with Barcelona, the way that they haven't wavered even when you had Coutinho essentially saying that he wanted to go and trying to really force it. Because, by the way, it's worth noting that Coutinho told Liverpool very early on that he would like to go. There's a difference between telling them and hoping it would be done quietly and politely and with everyone happy, and then realising that, hang on, this isn't going to happen, and then the player taking a much more firm and determined stance. But even when he did so, Liverpool held firm. Now, this season and this summer has taught us that you never rule anything out, but I just don't see it now, and I think Liverpool have held firm enough that the likely scenario is that Coutinho stays.
Dembele, of course, has taken a stronger stance here, going on strike. It looks like this is going to happen. But for an extraordinary amount of money, 150 million euros is the suggested fee, Barca fans must be thinking, what on earth has happened to our club?
Absolutely. I mean, the Barcelona fans, I think, are caught in two minds here, because there is that, as you say, that fundamental thing, which is what on earth is happening to our club? How on earth can we be chasing Dembele for 150 million euros? But at the same time, of course, they're also thinking we desperately need these signings. We need to get these players in. We need Dembele, or at least someone who can play in that attacking position on the left-hand side, although, you know, whether or not that's where Dembele will fit in, we'll see. And this goes back to what we talked about when the Neymar deal was originally done. And remember, I said then that I didn't say, look, Barcelona should not spend any money, but I did say the problem is that everybody knows they have an enormous amount of money, and that as soon as you do that, the prices rocket, and they knew that this was going to happen. But I must admit, despite knowing that, it seems to me that they've kind of kept on chasing, and you just wonder if Dortmund are thinking, well, we can wait to the very last minute, because they are so desperate they will keep on chasing. Of course, there is a possibility that Dortmund pull too hard on the rope, if you like, and end up seeing Barcelona slip off and go for someone else.
And not only that, you think, for example, Seri from Nice should be a pretty straightforward deal, yet Barca seem to have mucked this one up as well. The clause now no longer valid because it wasn't done in July. He was dreadful today for Nice as they got knocked out of the Champions League. And we're talking about a player that's worth 40 million euros, according to Barca.
Yeah, and as you say, I mean, the key thing, I think, really isn't so much the value itself, as that there was a clause, there was a moment, there was a window of opportunity in which this was an easy deal to get done. And it didn't. Now, what that tells you is either that Barcelona weren't interested at that point, a point at which, of course, they were still interested in Verratti, a point at which they were interested in Coutinho, because, you know, let's not forget that Coutinho was a target even before Neymar left. It's just that Neymar's departure makes it even more pressing the need to bring him in. So at that stage, Barcelona didn't want him. But then, of course, you reach a point where you think, OK, hang on, we really do need someone because other options are closing down. And that opportunity that they had has gone. That's not to say it's completely impossible to sign him, but it's no longer the easy deal it once would have been.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room that's just getting bigger and bigger, Sid. The fact that Lionel Messi still hasn't put pen to paper on a new contract. And as of January, he can leave Barcelona Football Club for free.
Yeah. No. I mean, and we've said this repeatedly. It hasn't been done. The deal was allowed to get very, very close to the end. I mean, even before we reached this current scenario, OK? Even at the back end of last season in kind of April and May, we were saying, you know, Barcelona have potentially got a problem on their hands, not necessarily because Messi is looking to go, not necessarily because he wants out, but because you don't allow a player of that significance to get this close to a situation in which you're 6 months away from him being able to negotiate with people and 1 year away from him being able to walk on a free. Now, the situation is that, of course, Barcelona said Messi has agreed the new deal. They even said in 2 different interviews he has signed a new deal. They're now admitting he hasn't. So quite apart from the situation with Messi and what happens next, they lied. They lied to their fans, and that is really, really problematic. It puts Messi in a position where he must be thinking, what on earth is going on? Why has this been said when it simply isn't true? That's not going to please him in the slightest. And I think what's happening now, to be honest, is I don't anticipate Messi going. Why? Because I don't anticipate him wanting out of Barcelona. But what I do suspect is happening, and they're saying that the deal is done, it's all agreed, there's no problem, they just need to find the time to sign it. Anytime. You do it whenever you can. You get him in at 4 o'clock in the morning if you have to. When's the time to sign it? Whenever you can, straight away. But Messi, of course, I think now is probably thinking, let's see what happens with that censorship motion. Let's see if the presidential situation changes. Let's see if people come in. Because I don't necessarily want to tie myself down to a situation which is already bad. And, of course, and here's the big risk, could still